Welcome, my friends, to Secrets of the Ancients. If you enjoy uncovering the mysteries of history, please consider supporting us by subscribing, liking, and leaving your thoughts in the comments. Your encouragement helps us bring you more fascinating stories, so don't forget to follow along for future videos. The earthquake that shook the Middle East in 1759 and the ancient mysteries it uncovered. On October 30th, 1759, the people of the Middle East were jolted awake by a massive earthquake. Cracks appeared in the walls of their homes and roofs began to collapse. People ran outside and gathered in open areas, but the tremors were so strong that they kept losing their footing and falling. A month later, another earthquake struck, this one even stronger. Trees snapped, homes were flattened, and deep cracks opened up in the ground. The disaster lasted for 2 minutes and caused unbelievable destruction to roads, oases, and cities. Yet the ancient buildings of Baalbek somehow survived. Some historians claim this awe-inspiring and mysterious site was built during the Roman Empire, but many researchers disagree. Regardless of its origins, Baalbek remains one of humanity's most impressive archaeological wonders. The most astonishing structure in Baalbek is the Temple of Jupiter. The Romans believed Jupiter controlled thunder and lightning, and the temple looked like a giant platform with 54 massive columns holding up a colossal roof. Today, only 6 of those columns remain, each standing 70 feet tall and made of 3 stacked segments. They look like gigantic pencils with lead cores that made them incredibly strong. Each of these stone pieces weighs 80 tons. That's about the weight of 35 Ford Explorer SUVs. Compared to the blocks in the Great Pyramid of Giza, the stones at Baalbek are even more impressive. Under the Temple of Jupiter, specialists found a foundation made of around 25 interlocking stones, each weighing roughly 450 tons, about 4 times the weight of the largest Egyptian blocks. And there are 3 even bigger limestone blocks weighing 800 tons each, more than twice the weight of a Boeing 747. It's mind-blowing to imagine how the ancient builders carved such massive stones, hauled them to the site, and lifted them into place, all without modern trucks, cranes, power tools, or electricity. Experts believe they used wooden tools, ropes, pulleys, and lifting systems. The quarry where these stones were likely cut is about 3,000 feet from the temple ruins. There, archaeologists found an enormous limestone monolith called the Stone of the South, 65 feet long and 13 feet wide. The builders never managed to completely detach it from the bedrock. Austrian scientists estimated its weight at over 1,000 tons, the equivalent of 3 Boeing jets or 160 African elephants. But that wasn't the only surprise. Nearby, another limestone monolith was found, weighing over 1,200 tons, and in 2014, German archaeologists uncovered yet another block weighing 1,650 tons. No one knows why ancient people needed such giant stones or how they planned to move them. These are some of the largest processed stones in human history. The mystery doesn't end there. Around the world, there are ancient structures and artifacts that still baffle experts. Near the step pyramid of Djoser in Egypt, archaeologists found a complex of underground tunnels called the Serapeum. Inside were 24 giant granite sarcophagi, each weighing between 70 and 100 tons, carved from a single block and topped with heavy lids. The symmetry is so precise, the walls feel as smooth as glass, something hard to achieve even with today's tech. Yet the ancient Egyptians did it. Then there's the Lycurgus cup, an ancient Roman artifact made of glass that changes color depending on the light, green from the front, deep red from behind. Scientists only figured out how it works in the late 20th century using electron microscopes. The color change is due to tiny nanoparticles of gold, silver, and copper embedded in the glass. This wasn't accidental. The ancient craftsmen knew exactly what they were doing. In Bolivia, the site of Puma Punku looks like a giant stone construction set abandoned mid-play. There are perfectly cut blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, moved over 60 miles to an altitude of 13,000 feet above sea level, without forests to supply wood for rollers. Believed to be linked to the Inca civilization, it's puzzling because they apparently didn't know about the wheel. In 1992, villagers in China drained a pond that had been used for generations. After 17 days of pumping, they discovered a cave system 100 feet deep, the Longyu Caves. Covering 320,000 square feet, the caves have rooms, pillars, pools and strange carvings, but no records of who built them or why. Back in 18th century Italy, a craftsman named Antonio Stradivari made musical instruments, including over 500 violins, one of which sold for $16 million. His violins produce uniquely rich sound that even today's experts can't fully explain. Some think it's the varnish. Others point to the denser wood from that cold European climate. In Delhi, India, there's a 23-foot iron pillar that's 98% pure iron and over 1,600 years old, yet it shows no signs of rust. Scientists believe the dry weather and chemical makeup of the metal contribute to its preservation. But how the ancient smiths made rust-proof iron remains a mystery. Then there's the Al-Nasla rock in Saudi Arabia, perfectly split down the middle with a clean laser-like cut. Some claim it's proof of ancient high-tech tools, but geologists say natural seismic activity probably caused the split over thousands of years. It's easy to forget, but knowledge can be lost just as fast as it's gained. Think of future generations trying to guess what the buttons on our old phones did. No wonder so many ancient artifacts leave modern researchers scratching their heads. Take the strange Roman dodecahedron found near Lincoln, England. It's made of bronze, shaped like a fist-sized 12-sided die, and honestly, no one really knows what it was for. Some of these had wax inside, so maybe, just maybe, they were candle holders. Others, well, think they were tools for knitting gloves, or perhaps objects for fortune-telling. One was even discovered in Geneva with zodiac signs etched into it. Was it a religious tool, an early multi-tool? Nobody knows for sure. In Scotland, hundreds of mysterious carved stone balls have been found, mostly from the Neolithic era. They're all roughly the same size, made from various types of stone, and decorated with symmetrical bumps, usually 6, but sometimes as many as 160. Most aren't damaged or worn, which suggests they weren't tools. Experts think they had symbolic or social importance, maybe a sign of power or status. Also, from ancient Britain are the Folkestone drums, 3 chalk cylinders discovered in a burial mound in East Yorkshire. No other similar artifacts have been found in the British Isles. Each drum is covered in unique geometric carvings, some with stylized human faces. Recent studies suggest these carvings were modified over time, and the drums were all made from local chalk. Before coins became common, metal objects served as portable wealth in Bronze Age Europe. Archaeologists have found decorative gold rings, massive bronze cauldrons, and other luxury items used in feasts or rituals. One intriguing find in Wales was a pair of golden hair rings, probably worn together with cone-shaped openings on either end. Lastly, what was once thought to be a crescent-shaped Roman necklace turned out to be a mini mortar and pestle set used to grind makeup powders. These tiny cosmetic grinders were carefully made and designed to hang from a cord, confusing earlier researchers into thinking they were jewellery. And one of the rarest discoveries, a small Sphinx statue from Pakistan, dating back 12,500 years. It was found in a region that was once part of the Indus Valley civilization, a culture known for its urban planning, advanced drainage systems and really sophisticated art. Unlike the Egyptian Sphinx, this one features daily scenes, suggesting it may have symbolized harmony between humans and nature, or perhaps an agricultural deity. In Chile's Atacama Desert, the driest place on Earth, archaeologists found 7,000-year-old mummies, 2,000 years older than Egypt's. The ancient Chinchorro people developed mummification techniques long before the pharaohs, and they didn't just preserve elites, they mummified everyone. And finally, in 1850, a storm battered the Orkney Islands in Scotland, ripping open a hill to reveal a hidden prehistoric village. An archaeologist began excavating the site, revealing the well-preserved remains of a stone-built community from the Iron Age. 4 houses and many artifacts were found from 2 ancient villages, which had been buried under sand, so everything was remarkably well preserved. Since carbon dating wasn't available at the time, it was hard to figure out how old the villages really were. Nearly a century later, with the help of modern technology, researchers finally confirmed that the site dated back to the Neolithic period. You can still see prehistoric stone cupboards and box-style beds inside the homes. Archaeologists studying the famous terracotta army now believe it may have been inspired by or modelled after ancient Greek sculptures. If true, this would suggest that cultural exchange between East and West happened long before the Silk Road, possibly during the reign of China's first emperor, who came to power in 246 BCE. Before this period, China didn't have a tradition of building life-size statues. Earlier warrior statues were much smaller, often less than 10 inches tall. Some researchers think Greek artists might have helped train Chinese sculptors. In February 1961, 3 rock-hounding enthusiasts were exploring near Olancha, California, looking for geodes. They brought one unusual-looking specimen home and decided to cut it open. Inside they found something surprising. Instead of mineral crystals, there was a porcelain-like cylinder, with a metal core surrounded by a hexagonal copper sleeve and other unidentified materials. At the time, some believed this might be evidence of a highly advanced ancient civilization, possibly even a 500,000-year-old artifact from something like Atlantis, time travel, or extraterrestrials. But not everyone was convinced. Eventually, skeptics examined the object more closely. Photos and X-rays showed it resembled a spark plug. Experts in antique spark plugs confirmed it was actually a 1920s-era spark plug, and the surrounding rock wasn't a natural geode, but a concretion, hardened material that can form around objects over a few decades. This artifact, known as the Kozo artifact, is now used as a classic example of a misplaced artifact in pseudo-archaeology. Objects that seem out of place in time but aren't when examined with scientific methods. Another often cited object is the Baghdad Battery, discovered in the 1930s. It consists of a clay jar, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod, possibly sealed with asphalt. These components resemble parts of a simple battery. When modern scientists filled replicas with acidic liquids like vinegar or wine, they produced a small electric charge, about 1 volt. Though no ancient texts support the idea, some suggest it may have been used for electroplating or in medical treatments. Others think it was just a container for scrolls or religious materials. In the 1930s, a couple walking along Red Creek in Texas noticed a piece of wood sticking out of what looked like old rock. Years later, their son became curious and asked around. A creationist named Carl Bohr claimed the rock dated back to the Cretaceous period and used it as supposed evidence against evolution. But when geologists studied it, they found the surrounding material wasn't ancient rock, but rather recent concretions that had encased a modern hammer over time, likely a case of someone dropping their tool long ago and nature doing the rest. In China, archaeologists discovered a set of caves believed to be burial sites for small humanoid beings with large oval-shaped skulls. Beside the remains were strange rock carvings showing figures in round helmets and celestial bodies like the sun, moon and stars. Over 700 stone discs with spiral grooves were also found. A Chinese professor later claimed the grooves contained a written language that, when translated, told the story of extraterrestrials called the Dropper, who crash-landed on Earth 12,000 years ago and tried to live among humans before being chased away. However, there's no credible evidence supporting this story. The professor, the university, and the artifacts themselves all lacked proper documentation. The Dropper stones have never been verified by any major institution, and the tribe called Dropka in Tibet are just regular humans. Another curious discovery came in 1996, when a local explorer found strange pipe-like structures protruding from Mount Baigong and along the shores of Lake Toson in remote China. The so-called Baigong pipes were tested and found to contain mostly common metals, but around 8% of the material was unknown. Some speculated alien origin, but Chinese geologists later suggested the pipes were probably natural formations, such as fossilized tree roots or mineral deposits in fissures. In Mexico, archaeologists discovered a terracotta head in the 1930s during a burial excavation near a three-level pyramid, about 40 miles from Mexico City. Found alongside gold, copper and pottery, the head's facial features seemed unusual. Some theorized it was Roman or even African in origin, suggesting contact with the Americas before Columbus. Others thought it might have come from Viking explorers. But again, there's no solid archaeological evidence supporting any of these claims. It remains unclear how the head ended up there. In Romania, workers digging a trench near a river found a strange metal wedge, now known as the aluminum wedge of AIUD. Found near mastodon bones, extinct elephant-like creatures, the wedge appeared to be made of aluminum, a metal that wasn't discovered until the 1800s and requires high temperatures to produce. This led to wild theories about ancient aliens or advanced lost civilizations. However, some believe it may just be a piece of modern machinery that was misidentified. In 1898, during an excavation at Saqqara, Egypt, home to many pyramids and tombs, archaeologists found what looked like a small wooden bird. At first it was dismissed as a child's toy, but years later someone proposed that it might be a model of an early glider or even an ancient aircraft. Now known as the Saqqara bird, it has become the subject of debate. Whether it's a toy, a symbolic item, or a model of flight remains unresolved. Finally, I just want to thank you for listening and for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this exploration, please follow Secrets of the Ancients and keep an eye out for future videos. Don't forget to subscribe.